welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 223. For this one, we're in Las Vegas playing Bellagio 510, and the game just gets wild because people are coming after me. But before we get started, a few announcements to make. The first one is that Andrew, Doug, and me are doing a meetup game at the Lodge September 6th. It'll be a special 1-2 game, and we're doing that to kick off the Lodge Fall Mayhem series. So be sure to come out to that. I have more information in the description box below. And then Andrew and I are doing our first ever meetup game in Australia, September 21st. That'll be part of the WPT series that'll be taking place out there. So I just can't wait for that. It's going to be very, very cool. That'll be at the Star Gold Coast property. And all right, I'll have a lot of things to say to you guys, to catch you up to just what's been going on this last week in my life, which has been nuts. But I'll say that at the end. So hope you guys enjoy the episode. Let's go ahead and get started. It's a nice afternoon in Las Vegas. We're on our way to Bellagio to play some 510 and continue a several month-long heater. I'm running about the best that I've ever run. You buy into the game for $1,500, that's the max. The session begins at 310 and a must move. Around 5 hours into the session, we pick up pocket sixes in a main game. We're already up over $500. The lineup is soft and passive, but the pots we won weren't too large, so nothing too noteworthy has happened, especially compared to what's to come. The under the gun player limps in with a short stack. We raised a 40 from the hijack. The button calls, the big blind calls, and the under the gun player calls. We're going 4 ways to the flop. It's king 10-6 with 2 spades. We flop bottom set with multiple opponents. The big blind checks. Under the gun is a real go-getter. He takes it upon himself to bet 100 for us. This opponent only has 135 behind. I should be able to get it all in with him no matter what. I'm more focused on trying to keep the other opponents with larger stacks in the hand, even though there are plenty of draws. I flat to avoid scaring off the players behind me. The button and big blind unfortunately fold. It's down to heads up with the short stack opponent. The turn is the deuce of hearts. It's hard for there to be a blanker card than that one. Under the gun only has 1 move. You guessed it, it's the Macarena. Back to poker though. Under the gun has very few chips left and can't really do anything other than shove. He rips it in for 135 total. We immediately call with plans to stack the 8 seat. If the opponent only has a top pair type of hand, without 2 spades, we'll already have him drawing dead. Once the dealer's ready, she puts out the 8 of clubs on the river. It helps the opponent improve to 2 pair with his king 8 of spades. It's not good enough though, we've got him beat with our set. Under the gun flop top pair with a flush draw and couldn't hit any additional spades. We come away with the victory. It's too bad the opponent didn't have more chips because we could have won a much larger pot on that run out. This is certainly the biggest pot that I've won the whole night. It's not even that big. We're up almost 900 though. In this one, we've got pocket 10s in the big blind. Under the gun +1 raises to 30. He's a vlog watcher named Barris from Germany. Against an early position raiser, we won't be 3-betting since the opponent's range will be extremely narrow. I call for 20 more. We're heads up out of position. The flop comes ace queen 6 rainbow. We completely brick it and don't want much else to do with the hand since there are 2 overs out there. I check. The opponent gives us a free card with a check back. We make the most of our freedom by drilling the 10 of hearts on the turn. We spike a hidden set. No more checking. I bet 40. The opponent calls quickly without thinking much about it. We probably have him crushed. The river is the deuce of clubs. It's a terrific card since the flush draw misses. I'm like Peter Gibbons in Office Space after a session of hypnosis. I'm completely carefree at work as I bet 130 in order to get maximum value. Barris is very scared. He even says so.
Yeah, Mr. I'm really so scared. I'm really scared.
The opponent min raises to 260. Anytime someone does something with their chips that isn't consistent at all with what they just said, don't believe the lies that your opponent is telling you. Believe the story that the chips are telling you.
He says he's so scared and then he raises.
Barris will receive no Oscar for his performance on this night. He clearly has a monster. I wouldn't be surprised to see a straight or a better set. There's some slight chance that he's doing this with top 2 pair. I'm never folding a set for only 130 more, but I don't feel good about it.
I call.
The opponent has pocket aces. We get set over set and a huge cooler. At least we don't get punished too badly.
Yeah, that's sick. Oh, nice hand, nice hand.
Oh, that was mine.
There you go.
Barris is happy that he wrecked my world and made the vlog in the process. We're still up about 650. We pick up Jack 10 suited in middle position shortly after. It's one of my favorite hands. We raised to 30. I'd love to know what your favorite hand is. Be sure to let me know by going to Andrew Neamy's Instagram and commenting it in his latest post. He'll likely be very confused. The big blind is a kid named Andrew. no relation to Andrew Nemi, who recently transferred to this table for the purpose of making the vlog and hopefully stacking me. When he sat down here, he said that he wanted to slow roll me in a big pot. He calls, we're heads up in position, the flop comes ace 9-6 with 2 spades, the big blind checks. We've got a good flush draw, we could bet or check. I bet 40 so that we'll have an opportunity to win this on the flop. Instead, the opponent check raises to 140. I'm suspicious that we're not up against that strong of a hand. I call for 100 more. The turn is the jack of clubs. We pick up a pair to go along with our draw. The big blind slows down and checks. I'm content getting to the river for free. I check back. The dealer puts out the queen of clubs. We brick our draw and end up with third pair. The big blind checks. We have plenty of showdown value. I check back. Andrew says that he has 1 pair but isn't eager to show first, even though he's supposed to. I certainly don't want to show our third pair if we don't have to. Eventually, Andrew shows for the vlog that he check raised us on the flop with 9-8 offsuit. We've got the winner with our pair of jacks. Andrew tried to get us but wasn't able to. He's a fun dude. We'll get involved with him more later. Now it's time for pocket aces in the hijack. Under the gun +1 raises to 30. The player on his left calls. We're in a dream situation. I 3-bet to 140. It's a big sizing. Still, it's not too large for the 2 players who have already voluntarily put in chips. They both call for 110 more. We're going 3 ways to the flop in position. It's 3 deuce-deuce with 2 clubs. The opponent's check. We've got a great flop for us. There's very little to be worried about other than the flush draw. One or both opponents will likely have an overpair to the board, but it won't be over enough. I bet 240 to string him along. Under the gun +1's having a very difficult time deciding what to do. He doesn't have too much left in his stack. He takes inventory and looks like he's considering shoving for around 1300 total. Instead, he thinks better of it and folds. The middle position player has had plenty of time to consider what he wants to do. He's not ready to give up just yet. He calls. We've got a big pot building up. The opponent and I both started the hand pretty deep. The turn is the queen of diamonds, putting another flush draw out there. We at least have the ace of diamonds, so it's not too concerning. The middle position player checks. We're not letting him see a free card for a cheap price of free. I bet 600. The opponent folds immediately. He probably had a small to medium pocket pair and didn't like seeing the queen on the turn. The night is going well, particularly if you consider the fact that we got set over set in a hand earlier and are still up over $1,000 on the session. I'd like to keep it going. We find ourselves in a great situation with ace-king offsuit on the button. The dude Andrew, who check raised us earlier with 9-8 offsuit, raises to 30. We'll be making it more than that. I 3-bet to 100. It turns out that's not quite enough. Andrew puts in a 4-bet to 360. He started the hand with 2400. We've got him slightly covered. If we were out of position, I'd strongly consider 5-betting. In this situation, we're against an opponent who seems to have the desire to try and make a play against me. I'm happy to let him stick around with hands that he's potentially 4-bet bluffing us with while we're in position. I call for 260 more. We're in the midst of a large pot. It'd be great to flop at least a pair. The dealer puts out 5-3 deuce with 2 hearts and a diamond. Not ideal. We at least have a straight draw with 2 overs though. Andrew downbets at 240. The bad part about this flop is that we don't have a heart, and the common hands that people tend to 4-bet bluff with are hands like ace-4 suited, which is a straight, and ace-5 suited, which also has us in bad shape. Still, we're not folding yet. I call to ideally hit the king of diamonds. A 4 wouldn't be bad either. Instead, the turn is the 8 of diamonds. It's not a terrible card because we pick up a fake flush draw. If we face another bet, I may call. Then if a third diamond comes on the board, I'll probably have an opportunity to make a huge bluff attempt by ripping it in to represent the ace-high flush since we have the blocker for it. Andrew fires for 440. There's a decent chance that he has the same hand as us. Perhaps he has 2 hearts though. It's unlikely that he'll have aces or kings like he seems to be representing given the fact that we have removal, cutting the possible combos for those hands in half. I call, knowing that we may be on the verge of attempting a massive bluff if we see another red card. The dealer puts out a red card, but it's a 3 of hearts. It's a terrible river since we don't have a heart in our hand at all. We've got one of the absolute worst hands that we'll ever make it to the river with, and the opponent bets 1,000. It immediately seems suspicious to me. I found that when people are bluffing, they tend to make it nice round numbers like 100 or 1,000. I'm not putting too much stock into that thought at the moment because occasionally I'm wrong and also I'm at the very bottom of my range. Something just seems off, so I don't feel quite like giving up just yet.
I know you want to bluff me so bad. I mean, the problem is that I just don't have anything.
Even with nothing, I'm taking my time because it's a big pot. I don't see what I can possibly beat, especially with the flush draw getting there. Something still feels odd about this, but I can't call.
Alright. Nice bluff, dude. Nice bluff. Want to show or no? One doesn't do anything for me. Yeah.
Ace 10.
The opponent 4-bet me with ace 10 offsuit and fired all 3 streets. He has a lot of heart and gets the bluff through to steal over $1,000 right from my stack. Andrew got a nice river card for him to represent the ace high flush. There wasn't a ton that I could do. People make these types of plays against me fairly often. Poker's complicated enough. It can get even trickier when there's a target on your back. Sometimes I'm able to capitalize on opponents doing things that are out of the ordinary, which is why you'll regularly see me make lighter river calls than normal. This river call would have been just a bit too light. I get bluffed in a large pot, and now I'm back down to the even mark after being up basically the entire 7-hour session so far. All that profit has been erased. We've got what we started the day with. A few minutes later, I pick up pocket 10s in middle position. I'm doing my best to shake off the hand that we just went over. I raised to 30. A viewer named Brandon transferred tables to get some Bradley dollars. It's beginning to feel like a meetup game with several viewers here. Brandon calls from the cutoff. The dude who just bluffed me out of my shoes 3-bets to 110. With this ace 10 offsuit 4-bet triple barrel bluff still fresh in my mind, 4-betting pocket 10s and potentially getting it in for 15-20 doesn't sound like a terrible idea. This player's already accomplished his goal of destroying me on the vlog though, so in my mind, it's a lot less likely that he's bluffing me again. As much as I want a 4-bet for revenge, I try to keep playing my best and just call for 80 more to avoid piling it in against a hand that has me dominated where I'm flipping with it best. The cutoff is getting a good price. He calls for 80 more as well. I imagine that he has some type of small or medium pocket pair, maybe suited connectors. The flop comes 9-7-3 with 2 hearts. We at least have an overpair, but I'm concerned that the small blind might have a better pair, and the cutoff could easily have a set. The small blind bets 110 again. There's still no way for us to know if we've got the best hand. I call to keep things simple. I'm curious to see what the cutoff is going to do. He puts in the raise to 350. This is a nightmare situation. He probably just has a set. We've got a key card in the 10 of hearts, making it less probable that the cutoff is making this play with some sort of semi-bluff with a hand like Jack 10 of hearts or 10-8 of hearts. Raising without a very strong hand in a 3-bet pot after the small blind bets and we call is borderline suicide. The small blind flats to 350. He's got to have something like an overpair or a very strong flush draw at minimum. I don't want to get caught in the middle. It's likely that I could be drawing to 2 outs. There aren't many turns other than 10 that I'd love either. I make the fold. Usually I turn off the camera since I'm no longer involved in the hand. Here I keep it running. The turn is the deuce of clubs, shouldn't have changed anything. The small blind checks. The cutoff only has about 700 in his stack. It's several hundred short of even a pot-sized bet. He rips all of it in there. There's no snap call from the small blind, so he probably doesn't even have a pair. He may not even have a flush draw with 2 overs. He eventually folds. My speculation is that the small blind let go of a hand like ace-king offsuit with the ace of hearts. Brandon gets the victory and is willing to show you guys what he takes the pot down with.
Looks like on the vlog, you know?
Queen 9. Yeah.
Brandon wins the hand with queen 9 offsuit. I don't know what's going on right now at Bellagio, but I folded the best hand again. That was a very bizarre situation. Given the action pre-flop and on the flop, I expected to be very far behind. Somehow, I folded what probably would have been the winner. It's another spot that's tough to mentally get through, particularly when it's 7 or 8 hours into a session like this. The good news is that I'm only down 200 total, and the game seems great. Next we're dealt 9-7 suited in the hijack. The player on my right limps in for 10. If you've never punished a limper before, I highly recommend trying it out. It's a lot of fun. I raised to 40 to do just that. I want to play a hand heads up in position. The middle position player grants our wish and calls for 30 more. The flop comes King Jack 7 with 2 diamonds. The opponent checks. We've got some value and don't need to turn our bottom pair into a bluff. I check back. The turn is the 9 of spades, giving us a hidden 2 pair. The opponent bets 50. There are a variety of hands that are beating us, but we're probably best. We need to get more money in now before another diamond or another Broadway card comes out. Even an 8 would be bad, and another king or jack would counterfeit our 2 pair. I raised to 150. I don't want to see a re-raise. Middle position player is okay sticking around for 100 more. He calls. The river is the 4 of diamonds. It's a bad card for us. The opponent checks. We're not going to be firing. I check back. The opponent says that he has ace high. I tell him that he's no good, but I don't want to show if I don't have to. He turns over ace 10 offsuit so that he can get some information out of me because he doesn't want to wait for the vlog to come out to see what I had. Our 2 pair is good. The opponent called our raise on the turn with 1 over and a gutter. He was drawing slim. Winning this one actually gets us back above the even mark. We're winning $140 total. It'll take winning at least 1 more big pot for us to get back to our high point of the session though. Here we've got king queen of clubs in the big blind. Under the gun +1 limps in. Player in middle position calls. The button raises to 50. Small blind calls, I call for 40 more. The limpers call, we're going 5 ways to the flop. It comes queen deuce deuce rainbow. We've got top pair with a good kicker. As long as we're not up against an overpair or ace queen, we should be in good shape. No one else besides us will have trip deuces very often. Small blind checks, I check, under the gun +1, and the middle position player check. The button tends to c-bet a lot after raising pre-flop. He bets 110. That's too much for the small blind, he folds. It's the right price for us. We call, under the gun +1, and the middle position player fold. It's down to heads up. The turn is the 10 of hearts. I check. There's really not a lot of weak hands that I would have called the flop bet with. The button knows that I'm going to have at least a queen a good percentage of the time. He checks back. King queen should be the best hand. The river is the 7 of clubs. If we check, it'll probably get checked back. We don't want that. I bet 230 for value. Not much of a decision for the button. He folds. He probably didn't have much. With so many $50 pre-flop callers, this is a pretty nice sized pot coming our direction. We're currently up over $400, and I'm proud of the comeback. It's easy to completely go off the rails after getting set over set, then folding the best hand twice in the largest pots of the night, but we've recovered well and have been playing solid poker without tilting off additional cash. In this one, we pick up Jack 9 of clubs under the gun +1, I raise to 30. Brandon calls in the cutoff. We're heads up out of position against the dude who had queen 9 when we had pocket 10s. The flop comes Jack 4 deuce with 2 spades. We have top pair and heads up pot. That's usually going to be the best hand. I bet 40. Brandon doesn't look like he has much of anything, yet he really doesn't like folding. He calls. The turn is a 7 of diamonds. It's pretty much a blank. I don't think Brandon has a hand that he'll be able to call another bet with. I've seen him make some bluff attempts. I check, somewhat for pot control purposes, in case my read is off, but mostly to induce a bluff attempt. Brandon doesn't take the bait. He checks back. The river is the 9 of hearts. It's about the best card in the deck. We make 2 pair. 10-8 gets there, but the opponent would have had to have called a flop bet with a backdoor straight draw when there's a flush draw on board, then not have taken an opportunity to bluff the turn after picking up equity but having no showdown value. It's incredibly unlikely that we're up against that specific holding. The cutoff almost for sure wouldn't have checked back 2 pair or better on the turn either. I bet 140 for value. Our line should look strange. It'll probably seem like we're bluffing, or we have Jack 9 or a set of 9s. Brandon comes through with a raise of 420 that makes no sense at all. The only hand that he could reasonably play this way that beats us is a set of 9s, and there's only one combination of that possible. I call for 280 more. We get some bad news. The opponent goes runner perfect to make the nuts against us.
8-10, wow. How did you get there?
The opponent has 10-8 offsuit and gets an unbelievable run out to make the maximum. This has been a frustrating session. The profit once again gets wiped out. Still, even with lots of unusual hands that have mostly gone the other way, I'm only down 150. We're 9 hours into the session, and we're not leaving stuck. We've got queen 10 offsuit in the big blind. Under the gun +1 raises to 30. The hijack calls. He's a player named Cody who has a big stack. I played with him a few times before. I call for 20 more. We're going 3 ways to the flop, out of position. It comes 10-8-8 with 2 diamonds. We've got top pair and some backdoor draws. I check. Under the gun +1 bets 30 again. It's a small sizing. The hijack calls. He could have a variety of hands including a flush draw, straight draw, or a 10. He may have raised with trips to avoid allowing 2 opponents the opportunity to get to the turn for cheap. I call. All 3 of us are still in the hand. The turn is the ace of hearts. I check. Under the gun +1 slows down. He checks. This opens up the door for the hijack. He bets 110. Ordinarily, queen 10 should just be a fold. We've been downgraded and have 2 opponents in the hand. One thing that I haven't done today is put in a big bluff attempt though. It seems fun. I check raise to 350. I know that the hijack is an aggressive player who I just saw bet and fold to a raise in a similar spot earlier on in the session. I can have plenty of hands containing an 8. I can have pocket 10s, 10-8, and ace 10, which I have removal for, and hands like ace 8. Under the gun +1 folds. The hijack isn't letting me have this one. He calls for 240 more. Maybe he's trapping me with a monster like ace 8 or 10-8 of spades, but it seems more likely that he has a flush draw with the ace of diamonds. There are a lot of river cards that I'm going to be shoving. We're heads up, and the dealer puts out the 9 of hearts. I like it because queen jack is a hand that I may have turned into a bluff on the previous street that now improves to a straight. I had the queen of diamonds in my hand, blocking my opponent from having a monster draw on the turn with queen jack of diamonds. I'm set up well for a bluff shove with 1080 in my stack. I rip it in, and I've never been called faster in my life. The hijack immediately shows ace 8 offsuit. He turned a full house. I make really my first undisciplined play of the session, and it's extremely costly for me, If I hadn't been at the tail end of an already grueling 9-hour session, I would have made an easy turn fold. Instead, I misstep and bluff off my entire stack. I'm not ready to leave though. I rebuy for another 1500 and pick up pocket aces in the hijack. The hand after I got stacked, I flopped trips in the bomb pot, then the board ran out with 4 to the flush, and I had to check fold to a river bet, so I'm down 1700 total on the night. I'm looking for revenge against the entire table. We've got the hand to do it with, and what's even better is that the table agreed to do a round of straddles, so it's 5-10-20 right now. I raised to 60. Brandon is in the small blind, he calls, he got me to fold my 10s, then also backdoored the straight against my top 2 pair. He's a good candidate for me to get revenge against. We're heads up in position, the flop comes 10-8-4 with 2 spades. We've got the ace of spades, so I'm not all that concerned about the flush draw. Small blind checks, I just bluffed off piles of chips, and I'm way down from the high point. I want to capitalize on my image. It should appear like I'm unraveling and ready to bluff off my entire stack once more. When you have strong hands and it looks like you might be tilting, it's easier to get paid when you bet large amounts for value. I bet 150 into a pot of 155. The small blind is perplexed about the size, still, he tank calls. It seems like maybe he has a 10. The turn is the 5 of diamonds, putting the diamond flush draw on the board also. We have the ace of diamonds, so I'm not really worried about being up against that flush draw either. The small blind checks, we've got 1075 in our stack. If we had a hand like ace x of spades or ace x of diamonds, I'd overbet shove as a bluff with equity. I announce that I'm all in here for almost 2.5 times the size of the pot. It should look like I've just lost my mind, and I may get called very light. If the opponent has a 10, he should probably be calling. Also, if he has a 10, then I really want as much money in now as possible anyway, because the opponent won't be able to call a big river bet if an overcard comes out unless he improves the 2 pair. He probably won't want to see diamonds or spades come out either if he doesn't make a flush himself. Cards like 9s, 7s, and 6s could also be bad. The small blind is very suspicious that I'm just tilt blasting off.
Revenge mode?
I mean, there's definitely an element of revenge mode, but in this case, we actually have it, so it's almost reverse revenge mode. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. The opponent is very deep in the tank. Call one time, please. Yeah, I try to stay a step or 2 ahead of people who watch the vlog, otherwise I'd be in lots of trouble. The opponent thinks that he may have me beat, but he folds 10-9 of clubs face up. The opponent gets away from top pair with no kicker. We don't get the double up that we were hoping for. We still win a medium-sized pot. We just didn't quite get the home run and are still stuck piles. Just a few hands later, we pick up pocket 8s in middle position. The straddle's on. We've got another solid hand that we're looking forward to playing. I raised to 60. The small blind is Cody. He's the sticky player who for some reason wasn't willing to fold a full house to my river shove when I had queen 10. Unbelievable that he made that light of a call. He 3-bets to 170. That's a small sizing of less than 3 times our initial raise. We call in position to set mine. The flop comes 5 deuce deuce rainbow. We don't improve, but could easily have the best hand. The small blind increases sizing to 230. There's no way that we're getting away from this right now. I call. The turn is the 4 of hearts. I like that it's not a face card. Small blind checks. It's a good sign that we're ahead if the opponent has something like ace king or ace queen. There's also the possibility that the opponent's checking for pot control, so I check back. The river is the 3 of hearts, putting 4 to the straight out there. It gets worse as the opponent bets 330. Any ace or 6 makes a straight. Backdoor hearts also got there. There's very little that I'm beating right now. I'm at the end of my rope from getting my face kicked in. This is going to be my last hand anyway. I really wanted to win this pot to finish on a high note, get closer to even, but it's clearly not my day.
That's like the worst run out ever, but
Well, it seemed like the worst run out ever. I'm tired, hungry, annoyed, and ready to get out of the poker room after being there for almost 10 hours and going from being up a solid amount to being stuck quite a bit, but the run out here was actually quite fortunate. After cutting the camera off, Cody's nice enough to tell me that he had pocket aces and was ahead the whole time, so we caught a break by only having to call the pre-flop 3-bet and the flop bet. Time to get out of here. The heater is seemingly over, at least for now. played almost 10 hours today, lost 1950. When you're playing that long, tough to play your best, and a handful of frustrating spots, bluffed off 1,500, a full buy-in, and I've been running super well lately. Days like this happen. I don't know what else really to say at this point. Frustrated with how it ended, especially being up like the majority of the day, and then just going through like a weird string of hands with the ace-king offsuit and getting bluffed by ace-10, and then losing with pocket, not calling with pocket tens. That was a frustrating hand as well. And then, I bluffed it off with queen-10 offsuit. And, I'm gonna do things like that occasionally, and they're not always gonna work out. And I guess that's it, man. Just don't know what else to say. This stuff happens, but running great, still on pace to have the best year I've ever had, and just try and shake it off, come back, and try and play well the next time out.
That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons, because it helps out the channel a ton. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to get back to you. This session, I got pretty torched on. I lost almost $2,000, and it's been a little while since I put out a big losing vlog. So it's actually, don't mind doing that. I think that the things that are like toughest for me to share, I think are the most important. And there aren't really too many hands that I wish I would have done anything that differently on. I think just that queen 10 offsuit hand where I punted, that ended up being a very, very expensive one for me. And I wish I would have had that one back. But the other one, it's really tough to make that call with ace king offsuit. The opponent put me in a tough spot. The pocket tens hand, I think that, if I'm playing my best there, I fold there anyway. I wasn't quite playing my best in this session, but whatever. I'm actually in Tampa right now, about to get ready for this meetup game here with the WPT. I won my WPT free roll event, or I guess bounty event, a couple days ago. It was crazy. I had one of my biggest cash game wins ever. That'll be the next episode. And then the day after that, I win the WPT Bounty Event. First prize is going to be a $12,000 WPT passport to the World Championship. I have a seat to the WPT World Championship, so my incentive to win was that I'd be able to give out 2 WPT World Championship passports. So we gave one to the winner, we gave one to second place, and then I am going to figure out a way to give that that second 12K passport to someone else. I'm not quite sure how to do that, but I'll think of something fun. And then let's see. And then 2 days after that, my first full day in Tampa, I got second in an $1,100 WPT event out here out of 116 players. So that was a $20,000 prize for second place. So it's just been a wild few days, and can't wait to like kind of go over this stuff in more detail in future vlogs. But anyway, thanks to everybody who's been following along just my journey the last couple days, in particular on Instagram and writing comments and on Twitter and everything too. Hope you guys are all doing well. Stay safe. Good luck at the tables, and I'll see you hopefully in Austin or maybe Australia. All right, guys. Bye.